All right, everyone, we are going to be learning how to draw a portrait freehand in an illustrative style. When drawing your portrait freehand in an illustrative style, we really want to think about the importance of lines. So here is my first draft, and we're going to watch how I created this first draft. I already see things I need to adjust and change to make it feel more like Rosa Parks, but let's see how I got to this point. In my next demo, I will show you some revisions. Just so you can see it all. So I start with my picture printed out. It's always easier to draw from a printout, but of course, if you're freehanding off a picture on the computer, that is fine as well. Now, the face is made of two parts, the skull, which we can draw as a circle, and then the jaw, which attaches to the skull. So I'm drawing that first circle and then getting that center line with the angles who kind of lining up the center of the head to the center of the chin. So here I am drawing it darker. The camera has to refocus. So there is my circle for the head, and I'm looking at the angle of the face, like really paying attention to the angle of that nose, drawing that line through the nose, through the center of the eyes, and down to the chin. Then I'm looking at where is the ear. Now the ear is going to meet where the jaw and the neck come, and so then from the ear I can draw in the jaw, curving it back up to meet the skull, and I'm looking at the shape of the cheeks. Now the nose is going to meet the bottom of the ear, so I'm drawing a line for the nose. Where does the bottom of the nose meets the ear? And I'm lightly sketching that in, kind of finding its measurements by guesstimating, and then I'll adjust it as I go. Now the top of the eyes, the eyebrows will meet the top of the ears. So I'll make that adjustment, and realizing I made her face just a little too wide. So I'm going to adjust as I go. It's a back and forth. Now I know the corners of the eyes will meet the outer edge of the wings of the nose, and I'm going to draw in the glasses first because the eyes sit in the glasses. And you can see my lines are pretty sketchy to start, and as I get the accuracy more correct, that's when I will clean up my line work. I'm looking at the shape of the eyes, really simplifying that shape, realizing I need to work on the nose a little bit. So I'm working back and forth between the features, really trying to get those shapes right. Look at the angle of the nose, where do the lips start, getting the shape of that mouth, and then working back and forth. I'm realizing getting the accuracy of the jaw will help me get the shape of the mouth. Then getting the glasses in, always measuring what's the distance between the ears and the glasses, what's the distance between the bottom of the glasses and the wings of the nose. So checking shape against shape for that accuracy. Drawing in that other eye, making sure my eyes are lined up, that one isn't higher than the other. Getting in those iris and eyelids, getting in those details as I know that the eyes are now in the right spot. Then thinking about the mouth, realizing I need to clean up my drawings, add in some eyebrows. What's the shape of that forehead? Where does the hair come down onto it? Getting the shapes of the hair, not drawing all the hair, but just kind of lightly sketching in. Something you'll notice is that the eye should be, once you get the hair in, the eye should be about halfway down the head, and then the nose halfway between the eyes and the chin, and the mouth halfway between the nose and the chin. So checking those general proportions, making sure the ears line up with the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose or the tip of the nose. And now I'm shaping her jaw a little bit more, getting in those details, like her laugh lines are a really important part, drawing in the bridge of the nose. Depending on your style, you might not draw that line, or you might draw it. Be aware of, look at your illustration style that you chose and see how they draw the nose. How much detail or information? Do they just draw the tips and the wings, or they include the line around the side? Now I'm looking at the mouth. The mouth is the hardest part because she has this really amazing, joyful smile, and I want to make sure I capture that. I get a little nervous, so I go and doodle in the eyes, and that eye now looks a little crazy, but I leave it for now. I'll go back and fix it later. So now I'm adjusting the shape of her mouth, widening that smile. For the teeth, all I'm going to do is create a shape for the teeth now. In illustrations, teeth generally don't have a lot of detail, but I do want to get the angle of the teeth right. That's going to help the smile. So you're going to watch me struggle with this mouth back and forth a lot as we draw this, or I draw this. Now I'm realizing, okay, time to fix that eye. Time to get in a little more detail around the nose, get in that other eyebrow. So working back and forth, finding things to fix as I think about how do I draw this mouth. So when you start to find yourself frustrated, that's when you know it's time to move on and do something else. And like I said, this is a draft, but we want this draft to be as accurate and stylized as possible with your line work, really making sure you have your best possible work to begin with, and then we'll go in and make those small corrections. Now I'm playing around. Should I put in the gum line? I decide it's too much detail for my style, so I'm leaving that out, but I do need to keep adjusting the smile. I'm always looking at the drawing that I'm drawing, checking my work against it. Pretty good. And I'm checking the chin, checking the side of the face. And then I'm realizing my forehead is going at the wrong angle, so I need to adjust it and make it higher. So checking the shape of the forehead, where does the hairline begin? And at this point, I'm starting to get ideas for the hair, so I'm just going to put the hair in lightly, because I started to think of Rosa as kind of like this queen, a queen of the civil rights movement. And I love this drawing because it's at the, or photo, because it's at the end of her life. She looks like she's looking towards her next iteration of her being. She's confident, she's happy, she has this beautiful glow for the future, her future, the nation's future. So I kind of want to crown her, give her this kind of like golden halo tiara. I might include an image of a hummingbird. So as you're drawing, you're thinking about what other symbolic imagery might end up in this portrait. What are you going to add to or change to really communicate the importance of this person? Now you can see I'm trying to figure out the shape of her face. One thing I've noticed as I finish this portrait, I did narrow her face too much. So when we do revisions, I will have to go in and see how I can widen her face just a little bit. The point of an illustrative portrait is not 100% realistic accuracy, but it does need to look like the person as close as possible. It needs to capture their spirit. And now I'm realizing, is the mouth too far down on her face? And I'm realizing probably. So I need to adjust that. So if you're working on the big white paper, or not the big white paper, but the paper we use for the first portrait, be aware of how much you're going to erase. With any of the paper, be aware with how much you're going to erase. You can use your watercolor pad or the white paper we use for the first portrait. Either will work. I think the white paper holds the watercolor a little bit better, but of course erasing pulls it and can rip the paper, so just be careful with that. Now I'm just revising the shape of her hair, playing around with it. So again, lots of back and forth on this first draft. Now it's time to erase the mouth, start again, and raise it up just a little bit, center it with the nose, find the corners of the mouth, and get that shape in. Where does the mouth kind of end? She's in a 3/4 view, so we're not seeing the whole mouth. It kind of falls into shadow. That's something I'll have to work out with the style later. And again, as I move the mouth, it changes the shape of the face and what I've drawn. And so I'm noticing I'm going to have to widen her cheeks in my final draft, right? And that's why we're going to pause and check our work. That's why I'm going to give you feedback. Okay. So getting this first draft done for critique is really important so that you can figure out what you need to do. I'm widening the mouth. And I'm noticing in this next draft that the mouth is almost too big, but it's that exaggerated mouth I think will really actually work with the portrait, because I want her to have this kind of like larger than life smile, right? But again, I will need to adjust the shape of her face. And you can see I'm starting to do it. And I'll do it even more later. Then I come in and I'm looking at the neck. I'm only going to draw a little bit of her shirt because I want her to kind of be popping out of the background. So I'm just putting the line of her jacket and the lace of her shirt. And the rest I know she's going to be kind of emerging out of pattern, maybe emerging out of the darkness, like she's the light in the dark, thinking about who this person is and how I can convey her significance through my artistic choices. All right, and so there is my first draft. Also notice I forgot to put the line of her glasses. I'm going to have to go back and add that in my second draft. So we notice all these little things. And also things I've already corrected is the slant of her nose and a few other little things that after I finished this recording, I went back and continued to adjust. But we'll stop here. And like I said, you may use the freehand method or you may use the grid method, whichever you feel most confident in using is the one I suggest.